Okay,
welcome everyone to our commission work meeting on, what is the date? Monday, June 3rd. We have in attendance here Stephanie Russell, Commissioner Gage Brower, myself, Sharon Bolos, Jessica Clark, Charlie Ewert, and Tammy Adelot. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm a little early.
Well, that's okay. You're welcome.
welcome, man.
Our agenda item number 1 is discussion and or action for approval of the minutes for the commission work session held on May 20th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, our second agenda item is a discussion regarding wayfinding signs in the Ogden Valley. We have Tammy, Sean Wilkinson's not here, Rick Grover's not here, Charlie's here with us, so,
John's on his way up.
okay. Tammy, your name's first, are you gonna take this?
No, I'm actually, Charlie's more familiar with the
Okay.
impact fee part of this, so I'm gonna actually hand it over to Charlie.
Great, okay, Charlie.
So we chatted with you guys a month or two ago about the possibility of finishing out our pedestrian wayfinding signage in the Ogden Valley. We've got impact fee dollars that are available and actually need to be spent this year, otherwise they're subject to forfeiture. So we know we need to get some of that money spent. We also have a grant for $81,500 from the state of Utah to get this project done. The project is, what did we say? Total
39.
it's about $270,000 to finish the project, but, and, the remaining amount is just the pedestrian wayfinding. And this is in the Ogden Valley, and so some of the concerns about the really big vehicle signs are not an issue. Nobody complained when we put the other pedestrian wayfinding signs up. We only had, up there, we only had 12 wayfinding signs to fill that network in. We'll have an additional 39, but that also includes not just pointing in certain directions, it also includes kiosks and in some cases, there might be some landmarkers or something like that in there, so. Comes together with a complete wayfinding system, at least for the pathways, and I'm assuming that we're probably just gonna leave the vehicle wayfinding signage as it is and let it be, but. This one, we're hoping to move forward. We need to do a budget adjustment and we need to adopt a new contract with, or a revised contract with Graphic House to do that, if you guys are comfortable with it. Any questions for us?
So other than the traffic, the vehicle signs and the pathways, are there other wayfinding signs up there?
No, well, others that have been planned. So we do have a master wayfinding plan. It actually identifies, I think there were probably close to 130 total signs, both pedestrian and vehicle. We did phase 1, so phase 2 includes maybe another 50 vehicle wayfinding signs that we haven't budgeted for. But they also include things like neighborhood identification signs. They've designed little totem poles at significant viewpoints or at entries or gateways or something like that. You know, welcome to the Ogden Valley kind of stuff. So those kind of things, they've been designed. We just haven't budgeted for any of that.
Okay,
But-
just curious. Any questions from you, Commissioner Fuller?
Just a clarification, so I was through this with, excuse me, planning last week. So these are just pathways
Just pathways.
and majority of it comes out of our impact fee. fund.
All of it comes out of impact fees, except the state is gonna give us a grant. The State Office of Outdoor Recreation is giving us a grant of $81,500 if we can get them installed by August 2nd, so.
So have we run this by, not that we need to, but with the planning commission? This last time we caused quite a stir with our other signs. I just wonder if you thought about maybe informing the planning commission this is going on.
Be happy to. We can inform them. We haven't run it by it.
To me, it's more informational than approval,
Just let them
but
know, yeah.
just let them know.
And we can show them what they are.
Yeah.
As soon as we start talking about wayfinding signs, I think there's gonna be a little cause for concern just because they see the big ones and
Yeah,
think that
well-
that's what we're gonna do, but.
We're past that, but now I hate moving forward with these and then they come back and say, hey, well, you didn't,
You know, talk to us.
they'll use that as a point of contention. Hey, we were never informed. So I would just say it's a information only, but let them know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't,
Oh, sorry.
and I'd say wouldn't, not to go for a vote or approval or anything else.
I can give them that information.
Yeah.
Today, or tomorrow, we've got a work session with that.
Yeah.
And I could just, as part of the department report, we could just mention it to them.
Great.
Well, you mentioned that we purposely extended that grant application and that it does have a deadline that needs to be met.
Yeah.
Just so they understand there's a time constraint on that.
And the impact fee expiration too.
Yeah,
I'll
Yeah.
look on both.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
great.
Anything
How
else?
soon are these signs coming in?
Well, we need to have them installed by August 2nd, so we do have we've had some correspondence with Graphic House, so they know that this is kind of, it's been backburnered for just a little bit, but I think they're chomping at the bit to get things, either get it going or get it off their table. And
Okay,
Sure.
so I think they can get them pretty quickly
to us, okay,
to us.
yeah, all right.
I'm guessing we'll have probably a month to install.
I would just make it clear that it's impact fee money
Yeah,
to the.
and
planning
grant
commission.
money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Can do.
great, thank you.
Cool.
All right. You wanna make a motion to saunter? We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd make a
Commissioner
motion.
Harvey might make it here,
Yeah, I'd make a motion. We sauntered till, what's our next one? 12
12 o'clock,
o'clock. Okay.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
For those of you online, we welcome you back to our Weber County work session with the Board of Commissioners on this Monday, the 3rd of June. We're gonna move on to action item 3, which is a discussion regarding Navy Meadows rezone. Presenters today, Charlie Ewert, Rick Grover, Sean Wilkinson, Felix Yavarino, and Mr. Doug Hamblin, I believe, is the developer. Thank you for being here, Mr. Hamblin. Go ahead. I'm gonna go to you first, Charlie, and maybe it's Felix. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Felix.
Yeah, sure, thank you. So this is we're just revisiting this topic and what the landowner is looking to do is rezone this piece of land. This is out in western Weber, and you can see on the map here, 3,300 south and 3,500 west. And that acreage actually might be a little shy. I believe it's like 72 acres. And they're looking to rezone that 72 acres to R115. And so the first time we came before the county commission, there were some changes that the county, that you guys were looking for. And so we took those changes back to the planning commission. And I think we have a pretty good plan to present to you today. And we're looking to get on the agenda for a public hearing pretty soon here. Let me go to the next slide. So here's an image from the Western Weber general plan. This map's pretty helpful to show what's planned for the area as far as medium to large lot residential. So it lines up pretty well with what the owner is looking to do. Here's the new plan that they've created. And again, this has already been to the planning commission. We've made some minor changes, taking into account comments from Commissioner Harvey, where he would like to see more patio homes surrounding those townhomes. And so we took basically the previous plan had roughly 100 townhomes. They've cut that in half and then added some patio homes surrounding the townhome area. You can also see the parkway, 5.41 acre parkway along the Hooper Slough with plenty of pathways along that parkway. And then you've got a 4.82 acre park. Both of these will be dedicated to the Taylor West Weaver Parks District, along with the pathways. The Taylor West Weaver Park District was interested in taking over those pathways for maintenance and ownership, things like that. You'll notice the design specs there on the bottom right-hand corner. It just kind of describes the acreage and the units, and also those public right-of-ways going throughout the development. Those have we've done quite a bit of cooperation and back and forth with the developer to get these roadways pretty well dialed to really maximize connectivity. And so these are some of the
Can you
standards.
go back one slide just for a moment?
Sure.
Please? Thank you.
Yes.
I'm just kind of digesting that. Okay, thank you.
These are some of the points taken from the development agreement. So with a development like this, we would like to have some standards in place. Something that will help to shape this development and help to create a very nice community. And so what we've done is we've included standards related to the right of way, as you can see, the parks and open space and trails, as well as some limitations on patio homes and townhomes, because their concept plan shows 47 townhomes. So we figured, let's put a cap on that. So when they come back for, maybe some, like a subdivision plan, that they know that the maximum amount of townhomes they can get is 47. The max amount of patio homes they can get that are no less than 5,000 square feet is 23 patio homes. So we've written that into development agreement, as well as there was some interest and communication with Weaver Housing Authority to preserve 10% of the townhomes for the affordable housing. So what we've written in a standard written into the development agreement would be 5 townhome units for that, for that purpose. And this, I just included this just to kind of highlight the current conditions and the annexation, the city boundaries surrounding this area. And annexation is a possibility in the future. We don't know when, but you can see West Haven City is slowly creeping westward. Anticipated to take this over, but in the meantime, we feel like this is a really good plan that we have presented before you and that concludes pretty much what I had to say. If there's any questions or anything that.
I have a question. I know in our last conversation, we talked about the townhomes and that their existence on the west side of the slough versus the east side where the general plan shows that higher density. So I want to know about the conversation with the planning commission about why they are still on the west side of the slough.
So the conversation that really, I think we touched on many different topics, particularly the fact that this development has parkway and park space. So if you really accumulate that total acreage that's being dedicated to the parks district, it really takes up a large swath of area. And so in order for them to get the density, to maximize the density from the R115 zone code, then they would need to have a little pocket of townhomes in order to really maximize that density. So
Are they at the exact density that they're allowed for the project area?
they will be, this proposal, you can see what they've shown 212 lots. And so what we anticipate is when they come in with their subdivision plan, there's going to be some space to, move some lots around and adjust some things and also make way for stormwater detention facilities. That's also gonna take up space that would have otherwise been used by lots. And so we would anticipate that it would be probably more closer to maybe 210, maybe even a little less, but it will not exceed the density for that R115.
Will there be any detention involved in the park or the parkway area?
That's a good question. I'm not sure at this phase.
Let's make sure, no. I think that's a good observation, that we want to make sure that park area is a usable park area, not necessarily an area for water. We can make sure we get that in the development agreement.
Good point.
I would prefer the detention not be in the park areas. We're okay if we eat up some lots with detention, we plan on that. That's just something that we plan on.
What happens to that detention though, then? Does that become the property of the park district or is it part of an HOA?
Either
Like, who
way,
maintains that is my question.
well, we'd look at it either way. If the detention basins could be landscaped and usable, which a lot of them can be in multiple, many areas, if it isn't too deep and so on, then we would have that as part of the park areas that we would deed over and have them maintain. If it's something they wouldn't want to do, then we'd have to, put an HOA in place to take care of those. But where the townhomes are, that's, on the east end, just west of the Hooper Canal. And there's those townhomes or patio homes that surround it. Then also those 6,000 square foot lots. I mean, even though we're not calling them patio homes, but really that suits a patio home, 6,000 square foot lot. And, they're gonna be nice, no basement type homes. They could have bonus rooms, things like that. And that's all around the park area.
Commissioner Bolos, to part of your question on the planning commission's thoughts. When we were going through the general plan process, I tried to be pretty forthright with the planning commission that the lines on the map are kind of fuzzy lines, they're blurry lines, unless there is an absolute reason there needs to be a hard edge somewhere. They might blend over a little bit here or there, and it's up to the discretionary decision making legislative process to determine when that's appropriate and when it's not. And if it is appropriate, are they providing adequate compensation for it bleeding over a little bit. So I think that's where the planning commission saw this and said, it's just a little bit, it's up next to the road where it should be.
Mhm.
And so maybe we can handle that in exchange for, I think originally Mr. Hamlin had proposed like a 3-acre park. And so, I think the exchange was to give, a 5-acre park or 4.81 or whatever it is, to make sure that the park district can actually use the property for a reasonable.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the trade-offs, I get that. And I agree with it being along 3300, right next to the canal, but what I don't wanna see is the next development to the west. Have another pocket of townhome, you know what I mean, like, it makes it look disconnected, if every development has a little pocket of townhomes, and then there's another little pocket, the plan should be for them all to exist within, you know, a certain.
Yeah.
Parameter.
So one of the things that we looked at through the general plan process is how do we make sure we try and provide some level of attainability? It's not really affordability because we're still talking $500,000 townhomes plus, but how do we provide a level of attainability in each development that we're working on? And doing, I mean, I like the patio homes idea. I think that works
For
really
sure.
well. Once you get to the townhomes, it is a little bit questionable, but the planning commission seems to be seems to like the idea of a few townhomes here, a few townhomes there, rather than an entire area of townhomes. They'd rather see it kind of spread out a little bit in different developments than in one centralized location, at least in this zone, in the zone across the canal, you know, that's probably gonna be townhomes, apartments.
Right, sure.
So they're hoping kind of for the opposite of just kind of allowing it to blend into existing developments as opposed to congregate it all into the same
But
area.
the further west you go, though, the bigger the lots generally, and I know that's West Haven's plan, that's what it shows, the further west you go, that it's more open, more, you know. But the larger lots and stuff, so that's my concern.
Like your concern, thank you. Commissioner Ford.
Yeah, so by my calculations, using what the standard is when we agreed to this zone would be about 210, 211 units. You've got 214 showing there, so I wonder where that 214 came from. We've been pretty avid on sticking with our ratio of total acreage divided by 15,000 square feet. And I'm assuming you're using 43,560 for square footage versus 40,000. Did we agree to use 43,560 versus 40? Because typically government looks at 40,000 as the measurement. Just
Yeah, we didn't
more question than,
We didn't explicitly say 43,560. We just said, take the square footage of the entire property and divide it by 15,000 square feet. And so without even looking at an acre, we're just looking at the entire square footage of the property divided by 15,000.
okay, so to answer my question, you're using 43,560.
Yeah, we're using the full amount.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when somebody comes in with an acre in the county, an acre is 40,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So I want to be consistent. I wonder about the ratio of townhomes to patio homes. That seems a little disproportionate, but the planning, I'm gonna probably go on the planning commission side, but my main question is if you've got your sewer
We're working on it.
will serve letter and water will serve
Oh, yeah, we've got all of our will serve letters.
sewer, central.
We
Weaver?
have, yes, we do. We have to, well, we're working out the direction we're gonna run the sewer. And that's something that we'll continue working on. But we've got a will serve letter from every one of the utility companies.
Okay, so you're gonna run the sewer,
Yes,
and so we've had this issue come up in western Weber County. I wanna make sure if you're running the sewer, that we're not going by existing residential properties that have been out there that don't have the ability to hook up. So did I have this discussion with you, Charlie?
I don't recall.
Anyway, I had it with one of the.
May have been with Gary.
Anyway, I wanna make sure that before that's approved, there's an agreement in the development agreement that those people will be provided annexation so they can come in and hook up. 'Cause
right.
I don't want them to come in and have a $15,000 bill.
Yeah.
You're running the sewer by, you need to basically grandfather I'm just talking existing, not future
Right.
lots.
most of the sewer that we're looking at would be future,
Okay.
that we're running it by. If
Okay.
that's the direction we go, we have two different options we've been looking at.
Okay,
The one option would be going through the fields just to the north of us. The map isn't up there, but that would be going through, Val Saunders and
okay,
those properties.
right,
And so there's very few existing homes that would be impacted on that direction. Now, if we went down to 4,300, then obviously there's a lot
right.
right there, and we're aware of that.
So I just wanna make sure that's put in the development agreement.
Right.
Those people are allowed to hook up. Right now, we've got sewer going in a section that people are gonna have to do
Mhm.
engineering, everything else, and I want that done so they can run their lateral. They obviously, I'm not asking you to run the lateral, but
Right, I
you have to
understand.
grandfather them in the
Yeah.
ability, so
That makes sense.
We
And
need to-
the size of the home lot line.
Accordingly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's taking
It's only fair.
those main
I agree.
lines?
Who would be?
Who's gonna own the main lines?
Well, we've been working with Rick Scad and that group up there. They've been working with the Central Weaver Sewer and talking to, Little Mountain or,
The LMSA. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
so, I mean, they're kind of in the same boat
Okay.
because if we go through the direction we want to go, then that's the direction they're gonna go.
Yeah, I met at the LMSA,
Okay.
report, so I wanted to know if that's,
Yeah,
they were looking at the Rick Stat proposal, okay,
yeah,
Until that happens, this would fall under the jurisdiction of the county,
right,
so.
right.
so yeah, that's similar. You know, we've been talking to Rick and those guys for a while now.
And just for the commission's sake, that Rick is looking to propose a PID, and that's why I'm asking these questions. Because
Yeah.
the PID would require them to deed those assets over to a district.
Right.
right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
When we, just to go back on the amount of townhomes and patio homes, when we met last time, they wanted to see 50% of the townhomes be patio homes. So we went to the 47 townhomes and 23 patio homes, so we're basically 50%. So we eliminated a lot of our townhomes and we made more of those 5,000 square foot lots for patio homes. Reality is those 6,000 square foot lots, I mean, those are gonna be patio homes.
Yeah, that's.
So we have now, what's that, 97 or 87 lots that are gonna be patio homes. And then you have 47 lots that are going to be townhomes, so in reality, you have double the patio homes as you do townhomes.
There's the magic ticket.
Yeah, and you talked about that, and that's why we, you know, that was one of the reasons why we come back and says, hey, we're gonna change. And I don't have a problem with just making a notation on the 6,000 square foot lots to be patio homes. In reality, that's what they're gonna be. I mean,
Not the same, yeah, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
That's a great product. A great product. Commissioner Bolus, any other comments or questions?
Just one comment, while we're talking about the townhomes, we've had this conversation, I think it was in JDC Ranch about ownership of the townhomes versus
Oh,
rentals. If we're striving to provide more attainable housing, then deed restrictions make sense to me.
Mhm.
mhm. We may have 5 to 10% of those as rentals. We are committed to do the 5, you know, in the affordable housing, which we would do those in the townhomes. You know, those would obviously, this is a lot easier for us to absorb, you know, that cost in the townhomes than it is a patio home, for example. But our plan is not to go forward and have 47 rentals.
Yeah, I don't wanna see that.
No, we're
It doesn't address our goals that we've been talking about, which is to provide more attainable housing, you know, it needs to be
Yeah.
owner.
owner occupied,
Would you have any issues if the whole thing were deed restricted?
If the whole 47 were,
The whole subdivision.
was owner occupied. You know, I think there's going to be some in the townhomes that we're gonna have rentals, and reason why I say that is to offer, you know, some housing to somebody that can't come in and afford to get housing in there. Hopefully that they'll be able to then transition, whether it's through seller financing or whatever, way that we can get them in there. I'm comfortable with the other part of it, being homeowner occupied, but I think the townhomes, there needs to be a little bit of leniency on that. Maybe we put in 20%, that's 10 units or just under 10 units that can be non-owner occupied. If you want to put a limitation of how many that we can rent in there, I'm fine with that.
I really would like to see that.
I'm on the same page. More and more, we, up here in Weber County, we're trying to create, we've got lots of rentals. And you have to understand from our position, the bigger scheme of things, there's a lot of rentals available in Weber.
There are a lot in this area.
Yeah,
Mm,
but I'll tell you, to get a product where people can come in, I know the first place that I was able to purchase was a townhome. Was purchased, and it wasn't so, that's the only thing we could afford because they are a little less expensive.
Yeah.
But to have, and the reason we sold it is because there were so many of them being bought and then rented, or we'd have kept it. So I thought like this homeowner occupied, so people can, that we know that the school numbers come up, we know that the policing goes down, we know that all the factors are good when
Yeah.
people can own a home.
Well, I've been doing this for over 25 years developing, and I have never done a project that's been non-owner occupied. Every one of them has been owner occupied, so, I don't have a
Mean that
problem.
way. Great.
I don't have a problem with that. The only thing I'm thinking is there may be a few that I would keep, maybe 2 or 3 to rent or to do seller finance. Seller finance is still considered owner occupied.
You're saying, don't take away all my tools.
Well, maybe leave me with a few,
that you
but
can-
I'm not asking for the moon either. I'm just saying, okay, there may be a little compromise. What are the units up above and Rick Scadden doing? Are they all owner occupied? I mean, it'd be nice to know what they're doing, because they're
Remember
doing
if they did-
townhomes.
I remember if they did owner occupied, but they did do 10%, I think, deed restricted for affordability, so they'll have a Weber Housing Authority deed restriction recorded on it.
Yeah, so, I don't have a problem even doing owner occupied, if that's what you wish.
That's where so will we hear this again at a commission meeting?
You will.
In fairness to you, Mr. Hamlin, I'm not speaking for the other two, but I'm leaning towards it, having deed restrictions.
Yeah,
But I don't want to take all your tools out of you. I might leave you with a file and maybe a small little framing square,
Sure.
maybe a pencil. But you're not gonna get a drill.
right, right. Like I say, I'm fine with that. I mean, our goal is to go in and do a good product. We don't want to create a situation where we bring in a bunch of rentals, because we understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
within a half a mile, there are a lot of townhome rentals.
Well, and that's good to know, because I was not,
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. And so that's good to know. We don't want to compete with that
Mhm.
either, as far as
Yeah,
rentals.
there's, in the area, there's a lot of opportunity to rent a townhome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, moving forward, it's not a bad idea to make them owner occupied,
Yeah. Well,
in my
it
opinion.
does make for a nicer product, and that is right at the front of our project. So, we're concerned about how that looks.
Any other questions, commissioners?
No,
Any other party?
Yeah, question here.
Yes, okay.
So are you suggesting that the entire development be deed restriction? For owner occupied?
Well, he mentioned to hold out some tools, but I'm like I'm not the whole development, but I am suggesting the units that are smaller like that they all be deed restricted.
Well, yeah, and I've got issues with that. I've seen too many cases where deed restrictions and somebody gets called into military service or they get called, you got a deed restriction.
Right,
They'd like to come back to it, but they can't rent it.
right.
So to me, I'm a definite no vote because you're trying to deal with the market. You're telling somebody 5, 10 years from now, that if they've got to leave for a couple of years or 4 years, they can't rent their house. So, to me, that's up to the market, not up to us to decide. So, now I don't mind putting a restriction, some sort, limited restriction on the townhomes, but
Right.
on the single family homes, in fact.
Yeah.
You're gonna run into financing problems because if HUD sees those deed restrictions on a development,
Yeah,
they don't get FHA or VA financing. 80% of your market now goes away.
I think, you know,
So-
I'm still trying to figure this out in my own mind in fairness to you, but I think and this is all newer, but I think when we start seeing a lot size beneath X or Y, that's the one where we hit the deed restriction, but not the ones that are not on the other ones.
Sure, you make a great point.
Yeah, I just,
That is a
single-
good
if
point.
it's a single family home, hence, that's in a monitor itself. Possibly the town, I agree, the townhomes, they can tend to be, investment purchases. But I don't wanna try to outguess the market and tell people if they buy, and what you're doing is you're actually creating the negative because now they can't get financing. So you've got somebody that wants to buy a home or a townhome and HUD looks at that deed restriction and says, we're not gonna touch that. Because what happens is, then they can't rent it. Guess who gets it back?
The bank,
HUD.
yeah.
And one thing I'm pretty familiar with is HUD and VA repos or Fannie Mae convention too. So let's not make and then that happens and you drive everything down. And you're probably not gonna happen in the near future, but it will happen.
Everything ebbs and flows, right? Everything's cyclical. It'll all come in a cycle.
Yeah, I can give you some highs and lows over the last,
That's
well,
okay.
not too long. period.
I'm familiar with those bio rivers. You're okay.
One comment, we did a project in West Haven, Parker Estates. And, one section's patio homes, they're very nice. It's owned by one builder. He's built them out slowly. He's rented them to older couples. And, they're very nice. I mean, and I've asked him how much he's renting them for, and he says anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000. And they're fully landscaped, but they're couples that have went and sold their homes and put their money in savings and to live on, and they're renting now. It's just kind of like doing a reverse mortgage in a way. They're pulling their money out. So I see that, and then what you said, Gage, that you don't want to restrict some people. I'm not saying that somebody's gonna come in and buy 10 lots and say, hey, we're gonna rent every one. But, that is something that has happened. And it's working down there. I'm not saying that that's a model that you want to follow, but it is working with certain circumstances. But you have to have one owner that's willing to babysit them and landscape them and make them nice.
Be the HOA.
Yeah.
Yeah, has an HOA, and if you're paying $3,000 a month, 2,800 a month, possibility.
That one guy can do it.
Right.
So,
So.
The other option you have would be if you did a deed restriction, that the primary effort is to make it owner occupied the first basically period of time, 3 to 4 years. So the deed restriction could go away after a certain period of time, allowing somebody if they had to rent or
Right.
that take care of it. So you just gotta be there's all sorts of deed restrictions out there.
Mhm.
I just be careful because you don't wanna take your government finance
Sure.
possibilities away.
Sure.
Cause that's where 80% of the market is.
Yeah.
Commissioner Harvey, we got one more question for you. When it comes to patio homes, do you see them being detached and standalone, or are you comfortable with things like twin homes?
I'm okay even with a quad. I've seen some of those where the garages are all facing north, south, east, west. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a big issue with that. There's some really nice stuff out there that are,
Yeah.
some of them are attached. But I'd like people to be able to go and have a little bit of a green space so their dog can go outside, out back, and then, just a nice, they can finish out their life without worrying about things and be safe, and no scares.
Okay, sounds great.
If there's no other questions then,
Great, thank you, guys.
okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it.
We'll work it out.
All right, thank you.
You guys comfortable seeing this on Tuesday, or not this Tuesday, but Tuesday next week?
I am, are you?
I am.
Thanks
Thanks.
very much.
Thank you, commissioners.
Well, I'll entertain a motion, commissioners, to move from our work session into a closed session.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second,
I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Bolos,
Aye.
Commissioner Faur,
I,
Commissioner Harvey votes aye. We'll now move into a closed session. Christie, if you'll set that up. Sean or whoever's running the computer, if you'll stop and share.
Oh, that's good.
Commissioners, can you unmute? Thank
Should we start?
Thank
over?
you. No, go.
Okay,
You're good.
they're not receiving treatment for their mental illness, and the local mental health authority can provide treatment to them, adequate treatment to them. So the designated examiners are required by statute to meet with the person who's proposed to be committed, and you have to have two of them. One of them can be an LCSW or a psychologist that's specially trained. The other one has to be a licensed physician. And they have a short window. It's 10 days that they have to meet with that person before the court hearing. They have to determine whether the person has a mental illness, and then they have to write up a report that includes the person's social background, their mental illness history, what their mental illnesses are, and a proposal for treatment. And they provide that to the court, and then they go to the court hearing and answer any questions the judge has. So we have 4 evaluators. Two of them are licensed physicians, 2 of them are not. Before 2021, it was a little chaotic. And so we talked about putting them under contract to bring some order to the chaos. And I think it's been pretty successful, having them adhere to specific contractual provisions. When we put them under contract, we did an RFP. And we had the non-physicians bid 150, 175 per evaluation, and the physicians bid 200 per evaluation. And so that's what they're paid right now under the contract. Our 2 physicians have said that they've been doing this for 15 to 20 years, and they've been paid $200 per evaluation that entire time. And they want an increase. They said that if you look at inflation, they should be getting somewhere in the neighborhood of $332 per evaluation at this point in time. And so we said that we would talk with you about it and see if you wanted to increase that or not. Their contracts run through December 31st, 2025. So if you wanted to kick the can down the road and say, we'll address your increase, when the contract expires, you could do that. Or if you want to try and appease them and keep them happy, we could do an increase mid-contract. They are kind of difficult to find. I know when we did the RFP, we only had a handful of people who responded to it. I think we had a couple that we didn't put under contract, but it was by and large the people who have been doing them for the past 20 years that responded. Any questions for me before Scott gives you some numbers?
So when we put out the RFP, this bid, we actually get invoices from more than just these four because other counties do this. And if our county resident goes and is or involuntarily committed, I want to use the right word, in their county, we get billed for it, right? Because they're a resident of Weaver County. So I know what we get billed from these other doctors, these other psychologists, and it's on average, it's about $175 per evaluation. So we're not out of line with $200. I don't think that we're out of the market. Now, we signed this contract back in 2022, January 2022 is when they were actually effective. Since then, you know, I went back and looked at inflation from January 2022 through April of this year, which is the last number I have. Inflation's been up about 11.5%. So if you took their $200 contract, added 11% to that, that would be $23.05. I just rounded it to an extra $25 per evaluation. If we were to do an extra $25 per evaluation and cascade that through all of our evaluations, it's about an extra $16,000 a year. $16,000 a year, which is not a ton of money I get when you look at a whole county budget, but right now our budget for for these evaluations is about $115,000 a year. We've been spending that on average for the last, eight or 9 years. It's averaged, last 8 years, it's averaged $113,000 a year. We have to pay this. We don't have any choice.
Right.
And we have to provide this service. But the amount that we pay, that we have under the contract, that is under our discretion. So the question is do we want to risk losing the two that we have? Because they want more money and we're not willing to pay them more money? Or do we say, you know what, you signed a contract under your contract through 2025? Or some of our other contracts, we have an inflationary provision. This one, we did not have an inflationary provision. So, you know, really, I could see the argument, like you signed a contract, fulfill the contract, we'll renegotiate it with you when it's done. But the risk is that we offend them and lose them, and then we don't have anybody to provide that service.
So, I actually talked to Dr. Smith about this. And it wasn't like, you know, he was threatening to leave or anything. It was more of just, you know, we've been doing this for this many years without an increase. We're seeing price increases all around us for everything. So it's really more of just a matter of inflation than anything, but I didn't hear any threats to take this contract. I mean, to not keep doing this for us.
Commissioner Bolos?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I guess I would like to see the contract completed. And hopefully, we could retain them with the understanding that we'll look at it again when it expires.
Commissioner Faur?
I don't mind giving them a cost of living for this so 25, or give them a small increase, say, hey, we listened to you, bump them up. I don't want to take the chance of them leaving, because and we've got to do it. We don't have a choice. We find somebody else, we're gonna spend a lot more than that. And there's no guarantee we get them for anywhere close to two. I'd like to go to see them at 225 or 250, whatever, but we'll look at your 300 request when your contract's up. I don't want to go to the full 300 down. So that's where I'm at.
I'd be okay with that.
Hold on. Why are you bringing us this budget year? Why is this not coming to us during the budget cycle? $16,000.
It is a lot, and that's why I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do this. The contract, I mean, if we were with any other contractor, I would say, suck it up, you signed the contract,
Yeah.
right? That's a little harsh.
No, it's my fault because Jed Burton called me and I was out in North Carolina. I'm like, call Brian and Scott and set up a work session.
And the unique thing about this is we don't have a department assigned to oversee these contracts, and we've talked about where would be a good place to put
Yeah,
them.
why didn't we do
And
that?
there just isn't a good place to put them. I mean, they can't go with the public defenders or the prosecutors because they're both involved in the process. And where else do we stick them? We talked with Weaver Human Services about taking them, and they said, well, we'll supervise the contracts, but we're not gonna take full responsibility for this because we're involved in the process too, and it doesn't make sense.
I'd like to propose, commissioners, I think your answers are good. like a $25 bump, you know, a little 11% bump on that. But I'd like to wait till the first of the year when we do it in our
Budget,
our budget,
so
so
it would
we,
be for 1 year and then we renegotiate.
yeah, then we'd renegotiate. But here's another thing I wanted to say. So what you're saying is we take people from the Lantern House, and then when they're mentally ill or something out there, then the county that gives us to somebody from Davis, let's just say Davis County gives us somebody in the Lantern House, and then when something happens, then we gotta pay for their legal?
So the
Sorry,
county,
I'm looking at you. I'm gonna go over here. That's really what's happening, isn't
The
it?
statute says where the individual resides or is found, and so, yeah, if they're here in Weber County.
Well,
when
Bob's
they're
done it
picked
to us
up.
again.
True.
I mean, we do the same thing too, though. If they're a resident of another county and they're,
Yeah,
picked up
I'll bet
here,
it's not even
we
close.
push that off to the, well, and I don't know the answer.
I don't know what their numbers are, but yeah.
Yeah. But you're right, if they're either homeless and they're picked up in Weber County, or if their resident is Weber County, regardless of where they're picked up, we get the bill.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about. That's, you know, give us your. That'd be you'd be on board with
Yeah, I can
that?
be on board with that.
Be on board with that?
So what was your
Makes
suggestion
sense to
again?
wait until the end of the budget.
Wait till the edge of the budget year and then go with your suggestion.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
So reach out to them, tell.
You'll
all
communicate
four
that to them.
contracts.
So when's it, did you say their contract's up in 2025?
Mhm.
Yeah, December 31st, 2025.
So they'd have a bump for 1 year.
So we get a bump for a year.
Did you want it to be the 225, 250? You threw up a couple different numbers there.
Whatever.
I'd say 225, that's
That's what
inflation. We're gonna
that's what
renegotiate
I
the contract in a
inflation.
year, so.
Yeah, I would say that's inflation for a year.
So an extra, so let me clarify, an extra $25 per contract, because one, you have one at 150, one at
Yeah.
175, and two at 200. So we're
Yeah.
gonna move everybody up $25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$25.
I'll put that in the budget, for 2025's budget, and then you'll reach out to talk to the board.
Yeah, I'll talk to Weaver Human Services and.
Let them know
Contractors
too that we're
individually.
paying other bills somewhere else and they're only 175. So why have we been paying $50 more per deal for 12 years?
Also, it just depends. So
I'm
we
just-
pay
I'm
the.
teasing. There's another way to
That's a
look at
serious
it.
question.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But that says we listen to them, but let them know, hey, look, as we get ready to renegotiate, keep in mind that other counties are less.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for your time.
Christie, let's move on to our deal, which is, item number 6, discussion regarding the AQHA accreditation. This will
They
be
look
good.
amazing, huh?
They do.
Take one.
No, I'm good.
They're not plastic.
Looks like you got a full house coming on this one.
That's okay.
What? Well, we're back on schedule.
Marty, Todd,
Commissioners, Jessica, how are you?
How are you?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
hello, Tom, Wayne, Close.
James Q. Harvey, Esquire. How we doing there, Mr. Todd? What was? Good to see you, buddy. Was it? I saw pictures. Looked like you had a. It was a good weekend for it.
Perfect.
Yeah, now we're flipping some golf, there's 3 events in a row, so the crew's flipping for the pro golf thing this next week.
Really? Hey, Doug, how are you? How you doing?
I enjoyed your moose, you know?
Yeah,
that was quite.
got a little visitor there.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were down that low this late.
Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
They kind of hang low.
You get a special
Right
turn.
by that river.
Oh, you
Feel like the water
rocket.
I've actually looked out my window a year ago and I had 3 bowls. Full bowls out there, 3 to sit together right in the backyard, yeah.
I told him he was a sissy for not going over and trying to steer wrestle that.
I
was waiting to see it.
was gonna rope him, but.
They like the marshes, those moose.
Well, Gage has been in the water up there before with animals. We don't know
I have,
that.
yeah, no, let's.
So let's leave that alone. Welcome, gentlemen. Nice to have you here. For formality. This is item number 6 on our agenda, a discussion regarding the AQHA accreditation. We have with us Mr. Brad Hart, who's in the John Deere hat. We have Mr. Tom Close, who's in the other plaid there. We also have Mr. Brent Edwards with us. Also, Todd Ferrario, Duncan Olson, and Marty Smith. Thank you for joining us. What I'd like to do is I know Mr. Hart sits on the national committee for AQHA, and if you'd explain what's going on, and then we'll listen, and then we'll have more discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Hart.
So the AQHA has been doing a lot of research on unregulated racing, match racing, all around the country. They've been working with a lot of states. Tom told me just yesterday or Saturday, that Wyoming now has passed a law that if you are licensed in the state of Wyoming and you're caught at one of these unregulated racing, you will lose your license for life. So myself, I would be California, Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Iowa. My racing licenses in all those states could be pulled if I just attended one of those events. And in their investigation, what they're finding is heavy drug use and abuse of animals. I know a lot of the stuff I brought to the meeting with Duncan was from PETA. The feedback I got is that I didn't really give him anything from AQHA, so that's where the letterhead came, with AQHA's letterhead telling you their stance.
Did you see that letter from AQHA?
I don't know if I did.
Did you see that letter from AQHA?
And it explains their stance. This one is basically American Horse Council, which says about the same thing. I don't know if you guys got that one. It was wrote by the same person, so this is the AQHA letter right here. And so AQHA is just trying to get this illegal racing and unregulated racing stopped. PETA is heavily involved, and they're starting to do a lot of underground stuff and hidden camera stuff. And I would have brought some of that stuff and pictures of that, but it's pretty gruesome. I don't think anybody wants to see it, of how the animals are treated. And I know, now just getting away from AQHA, I know that the races you guys have out there, I'm not talking about the races that Utah Quarter Horse puts on or that Tom puts on. I know they're profit driven. There's no question. All we're asking is that you start having them do some drug testing. They provide their own security. This is something I talked to you about. Why isn't the Weaver County also there? We're just asking that you get some drug testing, state vets on board, a local vet, that type of stuff. AQHA is, their stance is they want to pull the recognition from the track. That hurts everybody. That hurts the chariot racers. It hurts Tom. It hurts everybody. So I'm fighting on the committees I'm on to keep that from going to vote. And I don't, as of right now, that's not going to vote, but it could.
Thank you.
Oh, here's, this was the stuff about the California now. Basically saying, if you're licensed in California, you cannot attend one of those events.
Let me preface this, commissioners, by saying I've got a great respect and regard for Mr. Hart, who served as a past chairman of our Golden Spike Arena Board. He has also been the president and CEO of Harrison Hart, the general contractor, industrial, commercial contractor out on 12th and 1900. That big HVAC contracting outfit. Tom Close. Yeah. You mentioned Tom a few times in the thing. He says Tom Close, but it's Tom represents he represents the UQHRA, which is the Utah Quarter Horse Racing Association. And so when he says Tom's events, that would be the UQHRA Association. And Brent Edwards is here because he's kind of the poster child Fabio of the whole thing. So he has an interest with as an owner. All three of these gentlemen have horses that run. But I've asked Marty and Duncan and Todd to come in here as well, so they could give you a little bit of the other side. That's just more of an introduction. Tommy, anything you want to add to this?
Oh, basically what Brad's saying is, I'd like to see those guys run every weekend that we don't. I've taken the guy that's over the match racing to lunch and stuff and explained to him what our position is. If they run every weekend, that'd bring a lot of money to Weber County. We're asking is they have to run under the same rules that we do. They have to do testing because they're finding too many drugs. Even in ours, we just got through with 6 days of racing in April and May. We haven't got our final results back on the last races, but we found 3 or 4 horses that had drugs in them, and that's why we do testing. Under the AQHA, they say you will test hair and blood and stuff. And that's all I'm asking. Let them run every weekend they want. But do it under the rules that we have to run under too.
Just to be clear too, so for those who may be watching this another time, when we talk about drugs, we're talking about drugs and horses.
Correct.
Okay, just to be clear, thank you.
The biggest single drug they're finding in the unregulated racing is cocaine.
Huh.
That's the number one thing they're finding injected into racehorses.
Wow.
Is cocaine. They're finding a lot of other stuff. And, you know, I could have brought some videos and some stuff from PETA, but it's pretty gruesome. It's not stuff you want.
And this stuff happens, it happens all over the place, but especially you're saying it's more predominant in the match racing.
Well, because there's no testing. It happens in ours too. Don't get me wrong. Because we did find some and we'll probably find some in the finals. People think they can get away with something. There's chemists out there all over the world. If you go to Los Alamitos, they've got people in there all the time trying to find, they know that people are using a drug, but they can't find it. They can't find what it is. Because there's certain horses and certain trainers that are just above everybody else. And Brad can testify to that. So we're just trying to eliminate in our area the drugs. Let us all run together. There's some good guys that run horses in that.
So you're not saying that they necessarily need to even join your organization at all,
just the Golden Spike or whoever, the county or the state put it out, the State Racing Commission, that anybody runs on an organized track will be subject to testing per se.
For the safety of the animal.
For the safety of the animal and for the jockey. There's been horses that have dropped dead in the middle of the track because of drugs.
That doesn't go too well for a jockey that's on board.
No.
So, and the state of Utah has the Utah State Racing Commission that does this, provides the stewards, provides all the information, helps you get the testing, provides the labs. It's not free.
You know, Hinkins ran a lot of stuff right in the legislature on that.
Leanne's over that, Leanne Honey.
Yep.
And you probably know Leanne. She does, young girl, but excellent job.
Excellent. So just a question, if I could, Mr. Chair. So just so we're clear, the other group you're talking about, we're talking about the Hispanic group, is that correct?
Well, match racing,
Is that?
Yes.
Hispanics
They're
predominantly, but you could have other nationalities in there, but yes, sir.
Okay, got it.
Bren, what else do you have to contribute to this?
These guys have said a lot. I mean, as an owner and being involved, being that Weber County is the last accredited track in the state. I mean, that should boost a lot for us. You know, and seeing what Tom's done with the races and what it's brought. And I mean, heck, you look the last 4 years, how big it's grown at Weber County.
We paid for the 6 days that we had in April and May, we paid a little over 400,000 in purses.
Okay.
So as an owner and being a part of this, I mean, that accreditation means a lot because, you know, it's not just what you make in the purses, but it's in the breeding. And as long as all that can track back with that horse, it means a lot. So if AQHA was to pull that from Weber County, I mean, it could still, you could still tell someone buying a horse that your horse won this, but to actually see it on paper that follows through AQHA system is where that accreditation comes from. So it helps boost the value of that. I talked to Duncan a couple times when I'm out there. We've got a beautiful facility. And, I would hate to see it to where, something had to happen to where we had to go run somewhere else to keep that accreditation going. Weaver County's invested a lot out there. Let's continue it. Like Brad said, the state has a racing commission. Me as an owner, I have to buy a license every year. We have to follow all those rules. I would like to see Weaver County enforce anything on that runs on that track, runs through and follows through with the state racing commission. That's why it was set up. That's why Department of Ag oversees and runs it. I think it's, Weaver County should make sure that if an event goes on there, no different than, like Duncan has to do with insurances and everything else. You've got to make sure your event has all the proper stuff in place. I think the county needs to, put that in there as well, but if they run, make sure you're going through the commission.
Thank you.
The state racing commission.
Thank you. Duncan, you've got a tough job here because you've got to kind of balance between these gentlemen who are your customers, but also another customer that's not here. That brings us, and there's a lot of revenue here. Commissioners, I don't know if you're gonna bring this up, but I have done a little preparation in advance of this and talking to both sides of the equation here. One of the things, are you gonna make that presentation today?
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and start?
This is just a breakdown of the revenue of the three groups that are using the racetrack. Just so you can kind of see where we're at with things. It's not a small amount of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it gets hard for me. I love these guys and what they do. They do a great job. I don't have complaints with what they do. I do have a little bit of heartburn when it comes to enforcing stuff on other groups. Because you start making that a trend, and then every barrel race has to run under the same stuff, every team roping event. Like, I just don't like the sanction. This is a separate event that's operating their way. I really don't like any of the horses getting abused, but it happens. Like Tom said, it doesn't matter if it's the UQHRA, the matched races, the chariot racing. There's people that are abusing and doing that to horses regardless of the association. And I was out meeting with the customer about doing truck pulls and we saw a horse go down. Middle of the day, weekday, don't know what happened. The horse, had to be put down. That happens regularly out there. And so to say that it is because of drugs or it isn't because of drugs, it's not for me to necessarily say. But when you look at these numbers, it's kind of staggering. I know talking to Enoel, he's the one that produces the match races. He has no interest in following those rules. I'm willing to go whichever direction we want to go, but I just figured I'd bring this so you could see kind of where we're at with the revenue side of things.
Commissioners, I would just add that, this sheet that Duncan has pointed out is you've instructed us to sort of really take a hard and critical look at reducing deficits, right? Increasing revenue at the fairgrounds. This is a sort of a glaring example of it. And we have, great affection for all of our customers. These guys here at the table, as well as Enoel, he's brought a lot of business out there to us. So, the direction we go, obviously, we'll always look for advisement from you and you look for advisement from us, but I would caution anyone to align themselves with PETA only in that they're coming for you next, because that's what they will do. They want all horse racing to end. And so I would just throw a little caution there, but this is a tough decision. If we're gonna, start enforcing this, it's gonna reduce revenue by a significant amount at the track. Revenue is what keeps the track viable. And as we're facing, study and decision on what's gonna happen at the fairgrounds, especially if we lose parking. We have to look at revenue per square foot. We need all the revenue we can get at the track.
Todd, what can you add to that?
I would just like clarification, clarification. So do you guys drug test prior to the race, every horse?
Pardon
Or
me,
do you drug test every horse prior to the race or after?
after they come out, the stewards will tell us which horses, the first three get tested that win the race anyway.
Right.
But then the stewards will come out, have a random, say, I want number 5, number 8 in that race, I want them tested also.
I was just wondering, reflecting on the safety of the jockey and the horse, if it's after the fact. Could have happened.
Another thing that I don't love from the AQHA side is dealing with our certification of our track. You take that away, that hurts the entire community of the equine world in Weber County. Because those horses, they start on the track, but they end up becoming barrel racing horses, team roping horses. They continue on. And so I don't love that play from the AQHA trying to force our hand when all that would do is make the equine world weaker in our area, not stronger.
Yeah.
But one point on this that Duncan brought up, even if the match races were put under and had to be tested, they'd still drink just as much beer. That figure's not gonna drop.
So let's go,
You
thank
put-
you. I got that. Anything else you'd like to?
No, I think that's it.
Could
Marty?
I just ask one
Yeah.
question? So then, let's say we enforce that and this customer just chooses another track, then he could do that, right?
For sure.
Okay.
Whether cause he doesn't care if it's sanctioned or not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Anything else, Marty?
No.
Todd? So let me ask you, so let's bring up the point, we talked about associations with different things are being accredited. I had some experiences and I talked with you about this with the PRCA. We elected to not, the PRCA put pressure when I was out there several years ago to do away with all rodeos unless they were PRCA sanctioned, and then as a result of that, they took the circuit finals to Heber City. Politically, they're gonna say a number of other things, but the fact of the matter is that we were making better money on the other end. And PRCA, unless you're at the finals in Vegas, it's, anyway. We talked about other associations, the NBHA barrel horse, which many of the horses that go for barrel horse races are coming from this organization. Well, and I would imagine some would be from match races too, I don't know. NCHA cutting horses, nothing to do with any of them, but they are accredited through AQHA, USTRC, National Team Roping group there, AQHA, most everything that happens out at the Golden Spike, and certainly all of the shows, all of the paints, the all breeds, the Arab, all that stuff is the quarter horse. I'm not the Arabs, but the quarter horse has a lot of their hands in a lot of that things. The ultimate goal here is for the safety of the jockey first, and the horse second. Where's some middle ground that can be had? I mean, is there, and sitting here thinking, I wish that E. Noel was here. I don't have him here, and you're kind of representing the track, but also him on this meeting, Duncan. There's been ebb and flow with that relationship since they started match racing, and we were doing match racing 10, 15 years ago. Where he's adamant that he can, or is there any movement towards this that can happen?
I don't.
And these are, gentlemen, all of you, these are just my comments, independent of what Gage and Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Bolus might say. These are just for me.
Yeah, the conversation that I have had with him, he has no real intention to do it. I even threw out to Tom, I said, hey, you guys should go as a collective and meet with him. And so Tom took him up on that and took him to lunch. And, he may have had more traction than even I had in talking to him. I think he he would prefer to not have to do anything. I think there's a chance that if we forced his hand, he would come up with something. Every time, when they first came to us, it was a really tough event for my staff, for everybody. The language barrier, the environment, I mean, it's a party. And it was hard early on for us, and we've put down other roadblocks for him that he's had to overcome and make sure that he was following the rules to play in our sandbox, for a lack of a better term. One of them was, there was outside alcohol that was making its way in. Well, he searches vehicles as they're going in now. His security does. So it's not us, it's them confiscating potential outside alcohol. And so little things like that, he's found a way to overcome the challenges. He potentially would try to overcome something like this, or he'd take his business elsewhere. I don't know as of today what his true thought is. Tom met with him and had lunch. I don't know if you want to tell about that, but.
Yeah, in fact, he came up to me Sunday, which was our last day of races, because he wanted to take some videos, which I agreed to.
During church?
Yeah, in church. Yeah.
Church at the track.
Yeah. They tried to get Fillmore to go down there and race down there. Fillmore, the board, their board or whatever you say, it's too far. We can't go down there. We want to stay here. So I just basically said to him, I says, well, there's an alternative. You can do what we have to do and run under the rules that we have to run these races. He's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. If you were talking to him, you'd find that out too. He's really good. But a lot of the reason they don't want to, they make a lot of money off of this. Some of those jockeys get 500 to ride a horse. But if they have to start putting money out to do some of this stuff, it's gonna cut into their bottom line, just like it does mine. We spent over 20-something thousand bucks this year in testing.
Yeah, 20,000 in testing.
But like what you brought up when we talked earlier, where Wyoming has passed regulation against licensed individuals being there, I don't think you're gonna see. Tom told me one jockey that's already said he's not gonna come ride because it's his livelihood. So
I know that I had heard that their jockeys will come and participate in both. Spectators certainly do, and they're under no contractual obligation.
if they have an owner's license in any of the states I named and somebody reported them or had they Facebook, video, whatever, yes, that state. And California would aggressively take your.
Not even
license.
attending.
Not even attending.
You cannot
I couldn't
attend.
go to
I mean,
those places.
I gave you California. I cannot attend it, be there, watch it.
It's
The
very
jockey,
possible.
jockey can't ride in a other race either, or else he loses his license for life.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Frohr, you're not foreign to horses. You've been running them for a lot of years. What's your take on this?
Well, I struggle with a couple of concepts. Number one, I raced horses for a number of years. My wife was a pro barrel racer for a number of years. So first, my question is, so this impacts the barrel racers in the arena as well?
Well, I'm saying if the track were to go away altogether, because it's not sanctioned under the AQHA, there's the trickle down effect that affects the barrel racing community, the team roping community, because those horses go from the track to
No.
other sports.
Not all the time, but a lot of times.
Right.
Actually, it did in a couple of our cases, my wife ran.
Yeah.
So let's be honest, horse racing doesn't come without injury, there's danger in horse racing, let's be honest. So that just comes with the territory. In a horse race, the jockeys are gonna know that, your animals are gonna know that. For the trainers, good trainers always will come to the top because they don't want drugged horses out on the track. The part that really concerns me, when you brought up PETA, you lost me because I dealt with PETA on a couple of bills that we ran through the legislature, run by veterinarians, that they were out protesting, taking photos of slaughterhouses. They're not good people. I'm just telling you.
They're doing the
and I-
underground
And I'm
stuff
not
in these
gonna
races.
believe
yeah.
anything, if this is a PETA driven decision,
No.
I'm going the other way. Because PETA will always take the opportunity,
extreme.
and I agree with what Marty said. They don't want to just regulate horse racing.
They
They
want
want all
ball.
horse racing gone. They want every animal to live out in the field and be fed and not fear for their life.
Now,
Okay,
what I
so-
was bringing to you was
Talk to me about PETA.
some of the underground stuff that they strictly bring from the match racing PETA was doing.
Right,
That's the
well,
stuff I didn't. bring.
Okay, I'm just saying, I've had enough experience with PETA.
That's
that
right.
They bear no, in fact, anytime they come across, you better go the other way if you want to have an
No,
animal.
that's-
If you wanna feed an animal, if you wanna have an animal on your place, because that's not what they're about. Let's be honest. All you gotta do is look at their websites, look at the history they've had with the state.
They're just doing the underground investigating and they're doing a lot of video tests, and that's some pretty.
Well, they
gruesome stuff.
videotaped a lot of us
They
in the
do.
state.
They
Back
do.
when we passed some regulation that was, and they totally inflamed it, and, yeah.
They will. There's no question.
So, what I'm saying, they're not honest people in most cases. So, and I get concerned with,
No hoax.
no hope. Yeah, it's not a hoax. So I mean, I would like to see some type of compromise if we could, but these numbers, in my opinion, speak for themselves, so.
Okay, Commissioner Bolos.
I don't have any horse experience. So this is purely from that perspective, and then my question is, why is one customer asking to regulate another customer? That's my level of understanding, is I'm seeing a request from one customer asking us to regulate another customer, and that doesn't make sense to me. But I do have one follow-up question for Duncan. You talked about the track being sanctioned. If is the track sanction in jeopardy if we continue to allow match races?
That's what they're saying,
Yeah, I think that's the,
I'm asking you if it is.
We don't control it.
Yeah, I don't have any control over the AQHA or their decisions for that site.
So is that sanctioned by the AQHA?
Yeah.
That track is approved by the.
it's the only one in the state.
That's sanctioned.
And thanks to Jim, when he was there, it used to, years ago, we used to have it, but we had to reapply. What, 6, 7 years ago?
About 8 or 9,
So
actually.
that's kind of the card that you guys hold, is you can pull the sanctioning if we don't comply.
I don't think, and I'm sorry, to
That's how I'm
interrupt.
understanding it.
I don't think any of them are saying that they want to see that. They certainly don't want to see that pulled. And I don't think they've championed, but what they are saying is for the health of the horse on another event here, that at least there's some form of testing or something that would come about from that. I think just the testing thing. I think,
Sure.
commissioners, if you're okay with this, going down that road, what I'd like to do, Duncan, is I would like to have a meeting. And I'm willing to, because of my experience at the arena and here as the chair, I'd like to meet with you and Noel.
Okay.
And I'd like to see what type of ground we could make up and just say, hey, let him come up with some ideas on, hey, look, this is where we are. This is all after, we're not talking about, he's done obviously a lot of good things, how you've got that done. Let's just see if we can just now move that to he's made it a safer environment for the spectator. Now I'm wondering if we can just not eliminate that focus, but widen that broad of light to include the jockey and the horse. Would you be okay with that? And then after that meeting, then I can return and report.
yeah, commissioners, I think that it would not be great if the track lost its sanctioning. It just would put the track at more risk, I think, right? Because then business is gonna go away. It would be great if collectively the whole, group of match races and everybody could move down the same path. It'd be great if Noel implemented some things, whether he will or not. That I think it's a good place to start, what you're suggesting, Commissioner.
He's a businessman and he's gonna try to do what's best for him for his business. As are the three of you, whether it's running an organization or whether it's in private. You're not here representing anything but just as a private owner. So it's all a business decision, a private business decision. So I think that's the direction. If you can support that,
Yeah.
I'm getting a nod on both sides. That'll happen. And then I'll return and report.
Interject one more thing that maybe you're not aware of.
Tom, you always can.
Wyoming Downs has been sold.
Again.
I'd heard that.
Not again. I mean, Eric's had it for quite a few years, but Eric Nelson plus some other investors, sold it to some people out of Kentucky that own some racetracks back there. This guy is
The new owner.
the new owners. Last year, Wyoming Downs gave us $125,000 to run our races. We don't have pari-mutuel betting, so therefore we can't put up money to attract people. So Wyoming Down, the new owners want to meet with me and my board. They want to give us money again this next year, plus increase it.
Good.
They've got some big
Plans?
plans for Wyoming Downs. These two guys that are gonna meet with us, what's the name of the, not Winchell Donut, but a big donut.
Dunkin'?
No.
There's a Dunkin' Donut.
Anyway, his family comes from the donuts and they've got lots of money. So this year, you know, in talking to Eric, they're gonna run as they did last year, but then they're gonna put a lot of money up in there and help us out too.
That's up by South and Jones, in case you've never bought any wood.
I've actually spent a little time with the track, yeah. No, I like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I
Track
think that,
meets-
Tom, that's because, you know,
That's good.
you're a huge support line feeding into their track as an association.
I'm sure he is.
About 70% of their horses come from Utah.
Okay.
That's why they,
The other thing is, I could see for Noel is if he were to figure out something to get more on board, there could be a future, more of a future for the investment of those people that he represents who have those horses there. There, I mean, this could all be a win, but in fairness to him, who's represented by you, I think it would be well to sit down with him and just say, hey, look, you know, what about this? What about this? Could you set that up, Duncan?
Absolutely.
And I'd be happy to, I'd love to do that, and then we can return and report. No? We
Yeah.
will, not can, we will return, we will return and report, and I will to you also, commissioners, probably before I return to you. How that goes, so,
Make it a win-win.
well, of course.
Just come back with a win-win and we'll all be happy.
Yeah.
Make it a short meeting.
Yeah, it's called structural tension,
It is.
you know, I get out on the skinny branches.
the
Gage,
best
Commissioner?
meeting is no meeting.
Can you get your friends at the legislature to legalize gambling,
Actually,
pari-mutuel? Would you-
Mikhail is working on it, just needs a little support from like 12 people downtown Salt Lake.
It's actually
And a
15
whole
of
lot
them.
of other
Thank you.
folks.
I can get you involved in that a little more.
Mike McHale and
Gotta start paying tithing.
Needs 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The top three are gonna tell the 12 how.
Yeah.
Mike
Anyway.
McHale and Hankins have been real good.
Being recorded.
They're both good friends of mine.
Yeah, they talked, Hankins talked about you the other, when he come up to the races.
Did he? Yeah.
There's,
We ran a lot of legislation together.
there's one
And a lot
thing,
of, that's why Peter came out, because
Oh, yeah.
he's a horse guy and I was a horse guy. Well, still a horse
But
guy.
I don't want you to think AQHA is getting in bed with
But-
PETA.
Well, I would hope
It's
not.
PETA is doing all this investigating, and
Well-
we don't want that coming here.
Yeah, well, Peter's here
I don't
whether
want-
you like it or not.
Well,
And they're snooping in your backyard, whether you like it or not, if you have a,
if not, just go out to the animals.
yeah, I worry about Randy and Buck out in my backyard.
Just ask IT what they did to my email inbox.
Yeah.
I was getting about 4,000 emails a day from them at circus time.
So before we leave, commissioners, I wanna just thank the three of you for your contribution into the Golden Spike Event
That's
Center.
great.
The positive things that are happening in the equine industry, especially at the Golden Spike Event Center, are directly related to the three of you and what you've done, Brent, since you were 4, maybe 6 years old. But out there, you know, I think, Tom, before you were on the board, we had Brad,
Yeah, Brad,
and he was
Brad,
one of the finest
Norm.
chairmans I remember, you know, they just a lot of, you gave
You
a lot
remember
of.
who built that track? It was the Chariot Racing
Yeah.
Association and my grandfather and Frank Robinson. And we had his old tractors out there, and I've been involved with that thing for a long time.
Well, you're not that old.
Yeah. I remember I was
He's
a real
getting
little
there.
kid out there with grandpa's tractor. I remember that.
That would have been back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a long
sixties,
time.
seventies, yeah.
Because the year before that, we ran out behind the Golden Spike cult, or out behind
The St. Benedict's.
down there behind the old stockyards.
Stockyards.
Well, when were you at the St. Benedict's? Up
St.
on the hill,
Benedict's.
the old airport and the St. Benedict's up on the hill.
Oh,
There's out by the
Sure.
armory.
Yeah, that's it.
Armory.
Yeah,
yeah, I was never out
that's
there.
years ago though, probably before his
That
time.
was his age.
Anyway, all right, thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Okay.
You relate to Andy at all? What a great guy. I spent a lot of time in his.
Yeah, it was good. Your mama like him?
That's who?
Gus.
Yes? What's Sandy's boy's name?
Andy has Dino.
I appreciate
Dino,
it.
yeah. Yeah, it's Gus's son.
But Andy, we first met Andy on 24th Street down there at the AQHA. Then in 72 or 3, went out.
Good
What a
guy.
great guy.
Yep.
He turned on Zorba the Greek. Have a few of those Uzos.
Yeah.
He can dance.
Well, I didn't know that.
Just to pay a fee.
Marty?
It doesn't say anything about it on any of this. About you have to be 18.
Just when you thought we had a tough meeting, now Rod Lake.
But the interesting thing is, we wouldn't even have known if it was.
Yeah, where'd Brad go? Get those two together. They were together in the same round. That's really.
Because they don't look like they're.
They all went good on in.
So many things can go wrong.
All of them. We're still at inherent danger.
There's no application. They just go in there, when they're, they pull us height, they go around. They pay on screw that comes in every time.
Down here, we'll let them sit there.
How you doing, Steve?
Yes.
Nice there.
You guys can get 100%, but it's all, yeah, we do.
Yeah, I sit next to Chris.
Oh, and you went up and.
This is all right.
They do it all.
He's a pretty good guy.
Hello.
Commissioner, how are you?
I'm good, Dave.
Good.
I wasn't breaking down so long, crunching.
Commissioners, welcome back to our work session on this Tuesday, the 4th of June. We'll make that Monday, the 3rd of June. We'll move now to item number 7 on our agenda. Sorry, we're running just slightly behind, but these are the proposed CJC change orders. We've got Scott Mendoza, Rod Layton, Sean Wilkinson, Bill Ross, Shane, I had it. Should have trusted my memory. And Shane Sutherland? Sanders?
Yes.
Steve Lund. Great. Tricia, we don't want to forget you either. Thank you. Let's start with you, Scott.
Scott's not here today.
Scott's not here, I'm Scott
He has
today.
prepared Rod.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not a
Send a
Scott.
folder.
Brace,
Yeah.
brace yourself. All right. Yeah, I think that, thank you. Rod, go ahead.
Okay, let me give these to you. Then I don't think you have this. There you go, Commissioner. So yeah, if I got these guys to back me up on anything I say wrong, so don't listen to everything. Yeah, I need a lot of backup, that's for sure. So on the front of this, you're gonna see the change orders right here in this little bit. The very front page, and then you unclip that, it'll go through each one of them. There's 9 of them. Excluding number 3. We took number 3 off. Because we're not quite ready to do that one. So. If we wanna, I don't know how you guys wanna do this, if you wanna just go through each one, if you just wanna ask questions on them. How would be the best way to do it? We can start at 1 and go through each one,
Well,
and we
just
can
go
talk
through
about
the ones that we need to talk about. It's your presentation. You'd go ahead, Rod.
Well, I mean, you can see the front page. I would just say that as we've been working through this project, we're watching this really, really careful. We have a great team of people, starting with Scott downstairs in Mendoza, and then all these guys, and we're watching the change orders as best we can. Some of them, we ran into a little bit of a soil issue, as you well know, but I've been very happy to see what's gone on with that. That building's not going anywhere, let me just tell you that. Just watching that whole process, how we took out that fill and we replaced it and we compacted it and we tested it, and we did a lot of work up there to make sure that that's not gonna be an issue. So as I look through the change orders, I don't see anything in here that is really, out of the ordinary, that as far as my experience goes. Some of it was due to, some code stuff that we had to change up because of code. And then other things just because we wanted the building to be done right. And so I don't know if we really need to go through each one that way, but we can answer any question you have about anything. As far as the progress is going, we've got the walls poured. I don't know if they did the floor yet. Just not yet. So we did the walls on Thursday on Friday. They took the forms off on Saturday, so the walls are poured. And we're moving through it. I know there was some conversations about Rocky Mountain. We've just, Commissioner Farrar, I know that there was some conversations with you on that.
Yeah.
I've met back with them. We're going just back to the original. That was mostly my fault. I was trying to go around them a little bit to get a transformer faster, but we're gonna just go back to the normal way of doing things. We're not gonna try new fancy stuff. We'll just work with it and see if we can get the transformer. And
That was my suggestion after.
Yeah.
There's too much liability the other way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
these guys felt the same way. I was the one that was pushing that more than any of them. I'm just like 18 months now. Let me find a secret way to find one of these things. And
Yeah.
Thank you for pushing.
Yeah, because that is nerve wracking, the thought that we could have a completely built building and not be able to set foot in it because we don't have power for another year until they find a transformer is something that makes us more than a little nervous. So we're hoping that the powers that be will find us one much sooner than the 2-year timeline they gave Rod.
yeah, we'll just work on it.
Who are the powers that be?
The only one, well, I met with one who is our guy that's done the contract on it. And I've worked with him a little bit, and I'd go to our construction meetings and then I'd go back and talk with him. And I just said, we're thinking of going a different direction. I kind of got the idea about doing that is from a building down in Washington County. Washington County built a new county building down there and they could not get one. And so they went to a different source and had one built. But then I didn't realize that they're not Rocky Mountain Power down there.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey, I got a great idea, but then I found out that's a whole different ballgame. And so that's kind of got me off and running on, I know how we can do this, but that's a whole different situation. We just don't want to be the ones breaking ground on a new process of finding a transformer on our own and going through the whole thing. So we're gonna go back to the original plan and we will start pushing people to find one. And I think you guys you were talked to about that and agreed that that's the
Talked
best
to
way.
Kurt and I.
These guys always thought that.
Yeah,
They
that's
just were nice to
I've
me.
already talked to him, so has limited ability, but once the work orders, he's agreed to push where he can. But it's kind of
Well, there you
that's a
go.
separate division. He doesn't have direct control over it, so but.
Right.
But he has a lot more control than we do, so.
That's as good as I can,
Yeah. No.
could do there.
And he's aware of the situation. But you're not the only, I mean, there's.
Right.
That's the reason there's a 12 to 18 month delay. But at the end of the day, and I think Bill and Sean can confirm this, most all the deliveries have come in closer to 12 months, not 18.
Correct.
But their standard conversation is 12 to 18.
That's been our experience the last 3 years.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. We're gonna try to push that up to 8. Just kidding. We'll see, but I think we're good there and we'll just go forward with
Yeah,
that.
no, I think that's a wise decision, Ron.
Okay, we'll do with that. As far as funding goes, we're still making progress on some funding. We still got some coming in. We're still working on that. We haven't just said, okay, we got the money, we're moving forward. We're doing, Tricia will be presenting to you guys on Tuesday. That's tomorrow, isn't it? Tomorrow, she'll be presenting a few things on the state contract and some additional funding there. We've got some private donors that have stepped up, and so we're continuing to do that as well, to try to find some funding that will assist on things, especially those things that are not covered, completely on what we've been talking about. So I think we're doing really well with it, and I'm really.
So are you
pleased with
asking,
it.
I'm gonna just simplify this, are you asking this body to find money for the 602-320?
We have the money.
So we have the
We
money.
already have.
That's in the bank.
That's
I see, I
Yeah.
saw the contingency at 900 and something thousand, right? Or yeah.
700.
760.
These changes.
Yeah, there's a little, yeah, that's the contingency that we were asked to get, and we got that, so we're doing really good on the
This
contingency
is
side of
just a
things, so.
report.
Yeah.
Well, we need approval.
We need approval.
Approval of the
Yeah.
change order for the
Yeah.
158,616, which is that
We
top.
just wanted to present those changes to you, see if you had any questions, but we feel like these are all appropriate.
Okay.
Yep.
Questions? This is in your portfolio.
No, I actually kind of went through this.
Well,
last
it's
week.
actually, it's actually
It's in
insurance
mine.
portfolio. So, okay.
Excuse me.
That's right.
Sorry.
If you feel
As
like.
soon as
they're
I said
appropriate,
that, yeah.
I'm fine. And
Okay, there you go.
and I did meet with Scott last week, yep, so.
Yeah, Scott's been really on, he's done an awesome job, and he just decided to. We're not gonna talk about that.
Why?
Scott, you can't go tomorrow, but no, he's worked so hard on this, and he's kept this stuff.
I'm satisfied with, he's
Yeah.
very on it, and I apologize for that mistake. It is in Commissioner Bolus's portfolio. That's 3 yeses. You're going. Okay, well, enjoy.
Well, just in these change orders too, I mean. Shane and Steve done a lot of work, but Wadman, and they've really sharpened their pencils on these. I mean, they're really counting every penny that's going into this job, so that they're mitigating the extra costs and everything, but. Just wanted to bring that up.
Great.
And Wadman's been really good in helping us too, so. Yeah, there's not, that's why they're here. There's not a thing in there that can't be answered and what they've done and working for that, so. Yeah.
Super.
I would agree.
I don't see any need for, that's 3 yeses, so away you go.
We want the attorney to stay out of this.
Is this legal? Normal response, that's gonna be a problem.
All right.
Okay, I think that'll do it, then, unless there's anything for the rest of you.
This will come to you guys tomorrow, right? All of you.
Tomorrow?
I believe it's on your, well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not on
your agenda. I thought it was.
I think so.
That's why.
No, maybe.
I think that's what Scott told me, that it goes to you guys. It could, he didn't know if it'd be on the consent agenda or if it would be something we'd need to talk about again.
Either way.
Each said it can be included in change order, which will be presented during regular commission meeting.
Mhm.
So you're good to go.
Good. Hey, we'll be there.
Consent shall be
We'll be there to talk
consent.
about money, but we will be there if you have questions on it tomorrow.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to saunter until 2:45.
Well moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries, thank you.
Since you have this birthday, happy birthday to you.
Welcome back to our work session on this Monday, the 3rd of June. I'll entertain a motion for item number 8, which is closed session, to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now go to closed session.
leave closed session and come back into open session.
So
work
moved.
session.
Second,
All in favor?
I
Aye, motion carries. I entertain a motion for item 9.
move to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Aye, motion carries. We're now adjourned.
look at that, before 3, wow.